Getty Question Time comes live tonight from Grantham 11:48 pm. That's all, folks. Question Time has finished. Next week the program will be broadcast from Darlington, and the week after will be Yeovil 11:45 pm. The fourth question has been asked. A member of the audience said, was it right that Westminster Council refused to erect a statue of Margaret Thatcher? 11.25. The third question has been asked. A member of the audience said, given recent revelations of a series of innocent men being accused of rape, is it time to name and shame false accusers? 11:21 pm. Learn some manners and let the lady speak. Audience infighting took place while a member of the audience was delivering a statement to the panel. After being interrupted, another member shouted, learn some manners and let the lady speak. BBC David Dimbleby skewered Labour's John Mann. 11:10 pm. Audience member shouts at Justine Greening. A member of the audience exclaimed that we just want Brexit, before explaining that this is not rocket science. 11:07 pm. The second question has been asked. A member of the audience said, when will Remainers realise that our Brexit decision was always about much more than just the economy? BBC. A member of the audience exclaimed that we just want Brexit. 11:05 pm. Tim Stanley booed after suggesting Boris Johnson for Prime Minister. Tim Stanley was booed after suggesting that Boris Johnson should replace Theresa May for Prime Minister if she is ousted from Downing Street. Mr. Stanley remarked after receiving the negative opinions that the current favourite to replace Theresa May is Jacob Rees-Mogg. He declared, precisely because you react that way it might not be Boris Johnson, because I can tell you that if I had said that in front of a group of Tory MPs I probably would have heard exactly the same noises. And far from being an extremist, if you look at Paddy Power and you look at Ladbrokes, the Tory currently with which is the bookie's favourite to take over from Theresa May is Jacob Rees-Mogg. 11 pm. David Dimbleby blasts Labour after Theresa May attack. The BBC presenter cried, don't try that game on me, after Labour's John Mann refused to accept a statement he was quoted as saying. BBC. Tim Stanley was booed after suggesting that Boris Johnson should replace Theresa May. 10.52 Tim Stanley launches scathing attack on Justine Greening for contradiction. Tim Stanley launched a scathing attack on Justine Greening for contradicting her calls to fully support Theresa May by highlighting her recent leave from government. He questioned, why didn't you stay in the cabinet? This was backed up by BBC presenter David Dimbleby. He declared, you didn't deorbit. 10:50 pm and we're off. Question time has begun. The first question of the night is, are Theresa May's days numbered and who is fit to replace her? It is likely that the discussion will revolve around Theresa May's future and who Tory plotters have pegged to take over as leader. The leaked civil service Brexit report that suggests that in 3 different scenarios the UK economy would grow more slowly than it would if it stayed in the European Union. The government had previously argued that the document's immediate publication could damage UK negotiations with the EU. Another topic of discussion could be the indication by Mrs. May that she will fight a proposal to give residency rights to EU citizens during the transition period after Brexit. BBC David Dimbleby will likely be taking questions from the audience on the leaked Brexit report. Who is Justine Greening? The Conservative MP for Putney stood down as Education Secretary in Theresa May's January cabinet reshuffle. Prior to that she had been a cabinet minister since 2011. In 2013 she was listed as one of the 100 most powerful women in the UK by Women's Hour on BBC Radio 4. Who is John Mann? The Labour MP of Bassetlaw in Nottinghamshire since 2001 was one of 8 openly Brexit-supporting members of Jeremy Corbyn's party in 2016. He leads a cross-party group against anti-Semitism. Who is Miata Fanbelair? Ms. Fanbelair is the CEO of the New Economics Foundation think tank and is a former advisor to ex-Labour leader Ed Miliband. She has a PhD from the London School of Economics. Who is Jo Swinson? Ms. Swinson was elected unopposed as the Deputy Liberal Democrat leader on June 2017. She is the MP for East Dunbartonshire and was a business minister in the coalition government. Who
is Tim Stanley. Mr. Stanley is the Daily Telegraph lead writer and columnist who has called for a new opposition to liberal Toryism. He is the contributing editor for the Catholic Herald.